They say every empire looks unbreakable until the day it crumbles, and sometimes the person everyone expects to vanish in the ruins is the very one who walks out holding the blueprint for something greater. You know, it's funny folks love to talk about second acts, comebacks, redemption, but nobody tells you how it actually feels to watch your whole world turn to dust while the person you love stands there lighting the match. That's where my story really starts, on a night so sharp with betrayal I swear I could smell it in the air. Up on the 80th floor, city lights stretched below like the world itself was on pause for my heartbreak. I'm Amelia Hayes, and at the time, I was 7 months pregnant, wife to Ethan Vance, the guy on Forbes covers, the one everyone called a genius, a builder, a king. It's easy to play queen in a penthouse, you know? I had traded my architect's hard hat and blueprints for prenatal yoga and interior design, and I won't lie, at first, I thought I'd made the right call. We had plans, dreams, this child we'd already named Mina, future that felt as solid as the skyline outside those windows. But love turns slippery when it's mixed with power, and I missed the warning signs because I wanted so badly to believe I was safe in the castle we built. That night, Ethan came home late as usual, but the chill was different. He didn't even glance at me, just poured 2 glasses of scotch, a little ritual I'd come to dread. When a man pours 2 drinks and doesn't hand you one, brace yourself. He slid an envelope across the table, his voice stripped of warmth. All CEO, no husband. I'm leaving you. That's it. No build-up. Just a clinical detonation. I remember asking if he meant a business trip, like an idiot clinging to the edge, but he looked right through me, already gone. When I demanded to know who, he said Isabella Rossi, a name like broken glass, someone I'd met at company parties, always a little too interested in my life. He told me I was complacent. Imagined that he begged me to quit my job, to build a family, then blamed me for doing it too well. He'd been seeing her for a year. Every loving moment with him was just a rerun of a lie. The envelope was thick with legal jargon, a divorce settlement that looked generous but was chump change for a billionaire, and a gag order to make sure the world never knew my side. He told me to sign, to vanish quietly. I refused. He warned me, said he could unmake me as easily as he'd made me. That was the last time he looked at me like I mattered, and just like that, I was a ghost in the home I'd made. 2 days later, his lawyers made sure I had 48 hours to vacate the penthouse me name was nowhere on the deed. Every account frozen, every card canceled. I thought maybe I could call my old boss at Innovate Architecture, Michael Renner, the man who once promised I'd always have a place. He was sorry, but he couldn't help. Ethan's reach, he said. I was a liability. I hung up, numb, realizing every door in my old life was slamming shut. With no money, no home, and no job, I signed a settlement, swapping my voice for a check that barely covered 3 months' rent, and dragged 2 suitcases and my pride out into a world that suddenly looked nothing like the one I'd built. Queens was a universe away from my old life. My apartment was small and noisy, with peeling paint and a heater that coughed through the night. My neighbor, Mrs. Petrova, was the first hand that reached out, not with pity, but with practical kindness. She saw me struggling with groceries one day, and over weak tea, I let the whole story spill out. When labor hit, she was the one who held my hand in a cab to a crowded public hospital. Mina was born after 24 hours of pain, just me and a stranger-turned-friend, and a resolve that hardened with every minute. I was not going to let Ethan Vance's cruelty define us. Survival is ugly, let me tell you. Days were spent working every job I could find, diner shifts, cleaning offices, scraping together enough to cover rent and daycare. Mina was the bright spot, a happy, chattering child that didn't know we were poor, who wore a thrift shop coat like a queen's robe. At night, after I'd cleaned the last trash can, I'd sit in my studio, a sliver of our apartment, a second-hand drafting tablet, and a heart full of ideas nobody wanted anymore. That's how the Urban Phoenix blog was born, a place to pour my anger and creativity, posting designs for affordable housing and public parks, critiques of the soulless towers Ethan's company kept building. And slowly, the void shouted back. Architecture students, then professionals, then even city officials started sharing my work. The urban phoenix became a whisper in the industrial voice for a kind of building that cared more about people than profit. Meanwhile, Ethan and Isabella were everywhere: galas, yachts, magazine covers, his empire ballooning with her ambition. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Ethan's deals started to go bad. His projects got riskier, his temper meaner. He couldn't see past his own ego. One night, scrolling through industry news, he stumbled onto my blog, not knowing it was me, and got rattled by the ideas he saw there, not realizing the woman he'd tried to erase was about to eclipse him. Then came the twist. One morning, an encrypted email landed in my inbox. Brief, direct. I've followed your work. I want to invest. Discretion assured. It could have been a scam, but hope is a dangerous thing. The meeting was at a private midtown club, polished brass. No sign, the kind of place I used to belong. The man waiting was Julian Sterling, Ethan's father's old partner, the silent power behind Vance and Sterling Holdings, now disgusted with Ethan's recklessness. He didn't want to use me as a weapon. He said he wanted to invest in me so I could outbuild, outlast, and outshine the empire Ethan was burning to the ground. Justice, not revenge. He'd give me the resources, but the vision and leadership would be mine. I thought about Mina, about the humiliation and struggle, and said yes. Phoenix Architecture was born. I called up the best young architect from my old firm, people frustrated by the glass ceiling, and offered them not a big salary, but chance to build something real. We started with community centers, shelters, affordable housing projects that changed lives, not skylines. And the city noticed. Awards came, headlines followed. Phoenix Architecture became the darling of city planners and eco-conscious billionaires. Meanwhile, Ethan's company lost contract after contract, his empire cracking from within. Isabella saw the writing on the wall and bailed, selling her shares and moving to Europe. The industry buzzed. The final blow was at an awards gala. I was there to accept Visionary of the Year. He was there because he had to keep up appearances. He tried to corner me, threatened to smear my name, but I didn't even flinch. Go ahead, Ethan, I told him. Drag your pregnant ex-wife through the mud. See how the press likes it. Your real mistake wasn't leaving, Might was underestimating me. I walked away, and for the first time, he looked afraid. Behind the scenes, I was playing a long game. With Sterling's help, I quietly bought a controlling share of Innovate Architecture, a firm that had once turned me away. When the deal was done, I walked into that same conference room, looked my old boss in the eye, and told him he was fired. The industry shook. Vance and Sterling Holdings collapsed, bankrupt, a cautionary tale on the lips of every power broker in Manhattan. Ethan lost everything. The last time I saw him, he was standing on a sidewalk, staring up at the new Phoenix Architecture headquarters, a building that had just won the top architectural prize, thin, defeated, invisible to the world that once adored him. But my victory wasn't about him anymore. On the opening day of Mina's Placia Community Center, with a daycare, library, job training, and rooftop garden, built on land Ethan once wanted for another luxury tower, I stood at the podium, Mrs. Petrova in the front row, Mina by her side, and said, "The best revenge isn't living well. It's building well. It's using your broken pieces to lay the foundation for something better." That's the real story. Not of a woman ruined, but of a woman who rebuilt, stronger and smarter, with her back to the skyline of her past and her eyes on a future only she could create. So let me ask you, what did you find most inspiring about this comeback? Have you ever seen someone turn heartbreak into the foundation for a whole new life? Share your stories below. If Amelia's journey moved you, give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and hit subscribe for more stories that prove you can always rise from the ashes. Thank you for being here.